Hey everyone, thank you for coming to this breakout session entitled with Design Plus Policy. And we have fantastic four panelists from the world playing around policy making or civil services. And we have additional guests from the Japanese government, Mr. Harakawa. And then we are going to give a presentation from each speakers for first. And after that, after a 30 minutes break, we are going to have a panel talk about how we can utilize design capabilities into the government services or civil servants activities. Okay, so let us, and then please give them a big hand to place this session. Thank you, thank you. We can feel the big attention from all the audience about this is food with 34 standing people. And then, all right, so let us start off this session with a short presentation from Mr. Harakawa, Hiroshi Harakawa-san. Hiroshi is in charge of Deputy Director of Design Policy Division of Minister of Economy, Trade and Industry of Japanese government. Please take your mic.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, hello everyone. I'm Hiroshi Harakawa from Design Policy Division of the Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry. It's a pleasure to be here today. I'd like to talk about design policy in Japan. Okay. Okay. So Japan is a design nation. Please look at this picture. We can find a variety of design everywhere in Japan. Does anyone know the meaning of this picture? Yeah, so at night, the demon's face appears. This cute demon has actually reduced the number of traffic accidents, really. So we maintain social order through the power of design. It's Japan. So it is said that word design was imported to Japan in the late 1800s. Even before that time, however, the spirit of design was alive and well in Japan. People were encouraged to care for each other, to respect and live in harmony with nature, and to find beauty in small everyday things. So what surprises foreigners is that there is no litter on the streets in Japan. That's because design permeates society as a whole. So the spirit of design was eventually applied to industry. So in 1928, the National Research Institute of Industry Arts was established in Sendai. So Japan's design policy began. So beginning in 1957, the government established the Good Design Award to raise the level of design of Japanese industrial products. The award has made a significant contribution not only to style, but also to building a brand image of high-quality Japanese products. So Japan has established its economic growth and position as a major economic powerhouse through the power of design. Are there any Japanese products in your life? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So Japan has built a safe and secure society by utilizing the power of design. This graph shows the average life expectancy in each country. Japan has the world's longest life expectancy. Okay. So Japan has built an ideal economy and society. You can live safely and securely in any part of Japan. However, globally speaking, there are environmental issues. domestically, there is the issues of the declining birth rate and aging population. The economy and society must be restructured to accommodate these changes. The Japanese government has begun to discuss these issues. So the keyword is solving social issues. It is design. It is policy. We have two approaches. The first is to take on social issues that the private sector cannot address. The second is to use the power of business to solve social issues. So this year, I presided over a study group to consider future design policy in Japan. So today's panelists, Mr. Tagawa-san and Mr. Asanuma-san of the digital agency are also here. We need to include design in our national policies across all government offices, not just the Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry and the digital agency. So we are beginning to build a system for this purpose. In recent years, we have been focusing on the use of design in the local community. In Japan, in-house designers working for companies account for 3/4 of all designers. On the other hand, designers who are based in local communities are working with local governments to solve local issues. We call them in-town designers. So we aim to expand the number of such designers throughout the country. This appears to be an ordinary cafe, but its employees are people with disabilities who work remotely from home. They operate robots to serve customers. So this is the idea of a private company that aims to realize social participation of people with disabilities. If the government were to do this, a large amount of taxpayer money would be required. It is important to use profit as a means to solve social issues. In this way, companies are using the power of design to help provide public services in Japan. So finally, until now, Japan's design policy has been primarily aimed to industrial development. In recent years, design has been used to solve social issues. At the root of it all is a Japanese DNA, is caring for others and respecting nature. We are taking on the challenge of redesigning our economy and society to enable solutions to social issues. There will be failures, but we will not give up. We believe that our knowledge of Japanese design can contribute to the realization of a bright future for everyone in the world. So that's all for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Harakawa-san. We are going to have a discussion about how the government and designers can contribute to each other. And right now, from one by one, we are going to take a presentation. And by the way, my name is Kinya Tagawa. I'm a founder and CEO of Takram from Japan. And I am going to moderate this session. This is my real honor. Okay, so Mr. El Himam, the second presenter from today is Mr. Muhammad Neil El Himam-san. He's a Deputy Minister for Digital Economy and Creative Products at Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy from Indonesia.
Thank you, Kinya-san. Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for coming to this panel. And I saw a lot of people standing up, so probably, usually things that deals with government is a bit boring, but I know this different case, and thank you so much for coming. Pardon me if I think Indonesia, me for myself, I think we are a new kid in the block on this design WDA event. So, but thank you for WDO for inviting me to share our design and policy case study from Indonesia. So let me begin with my presentation. As the moderator said that I'm from the Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy. And in 2019, we have this law on creative economy, law number 24 on 2019. And in it, we define creative economy as embodiments of added values from the intellectual property sources from human creativity based on cultural heritage, science, and technology. So three things here: added value, meaning economic value, intellectual property, and I think since this morning, I think a lot of the keynote speaker talk about AI, for example. So we focus on human creativity here. So I believe this is one of our breakthrough with the law, the policy. So this is, we can call it as a mother of the policy for our creative economy. So we have 17 subsectors, and basically design, of course, the majority of the subsector involve designs. So we have architecture, interior design, graphics design, product designs, and fashion is also design, right? So these are some of the subsectors that involve design. But I believe all the subsectors, of course, will involve design in their processes in creating the product itself. So we as the government and the law said that it is emphasizing that the government, central government, and also intergovernment, interministerial, as well as local government be responsible for providing the creative economy subsectors with a sound ecosystem of creative economy. So some of the elements of those ecosystem, of course, the first and foremost is talent itself, right? Creative economic talent, digital talent. Here in this case is, of course, designers. And other asset that we have is we base on cultures. I think a lot of like Japan, for example, Indonesia also rich in cultures. I can say to you that right now Indonesia have around 718, some say 781 languages. So I'm from Jakarta. I can speak Bahasa Indonesia, my language, Indonesian language, national language, as well as English probably. But when I go south of Jakarta, for 30 kilometers out of Jakarta, I couldn't understand anymore of the language. So they have different language totally. So we believe that culture is our strong assets that can be used in fulfilling our creative economy. The other part now, because we already have the law, product, of course, we need to have products, and in this case, product is a creative product can be in the form of goods and services. And design here, of course, falls under the services, and it has to be based on IP, of course, right? Where the IP in design, of course, the design itself, but I believe, this is my personal belief, that the designer itself, the name of the designers or the designer name is the IP that belongs to the designer. So that would create added value for the designers, for the creation. And of course, we need to have financing and creative business financing. The conventional one is from banks, for example. But nowadays, there is, because of the technology as well, venture capital, business angel, and the recent one, the most interesting one is crowdfunding, crowdsourcing. So now we can have projects based on crowdfunding, for example, crowdsourcing. This is actually really in tune or more appropriate to the creative projects, creative product projects. And we are right now in the midst of trying to come up with IP-based financing. So IP as collaterals for financing. And this is also the theme from this morning as well, the advance of technology, be that the AI, blockchain, virtual reality, augmented reality. We talked about a few months ago about NFT metaverse, or from last year, for example. That's some of the things that are also needed in this creative economy ecosystem. And as the government, of course, our main business is to come up with policies and regulations. And we are changing, we are shifting the paradigm of rather than governing, we are trying to facilitating and accelerating the ecosystem so that all the players, the creators, the creators can thrive in this ecosystem. And as of course the ecosystem include market, and since a lot of our products are digitals in creative economy, including design, you need not just domestic or foreign market or international market, but also online and offline. Some of the products, for example, in music nowadays, like I saw the Walkman, Sony Walkman before, right? The pictures, I remember my high school era there. But nowadays, I don't think our children knows what is Walkman, right? So I don't think even if they give you cassette tapes and then pencils, and they give it both of them to them, they don't know what to do with it. Yeah? I remember still, manually rewinding tapes, for example. So that's our era. So that's our creative economic system, and because since we are focusing on the policy on this room, we need to talk a little bit. I need to talk a little bit about our creative economy value chain. So this can be put, our value chain can be put on all those, can be implemented on those creative economic subsectors. So we start from creation. This is, I think, the most where design plays the most important role in the creation process. And then after creation, then you go to production. And then after that, you go to promotion or marketing, distribution, consumption, conservation, and innovation. I'm a bit diverge here from the design. For example, if you talk about movie, you create movie, so you start creating movie through script writing, right? So screenwriting, script writing, and then you design the sets, you design the shots, you design the wardrobe, for example. Then it starts from there, and then afterward you go to production, where you implement all the design into a product, and then you need to promote. Sometimes in Indonesia we forget about this. Different with the Hollywood, for example. Sometimes they put a lot more money to the promotion phase rather than the production. So this is also important. Distribution-wise, why we do put this one in there? Right now, because there is digital as well as physical. So distribution-wise, if you distribute digital product, you can go through internet, but for example, for the film itself, sometimes you still need to distribute it physically or logistically. And then the consumption. If we talk about the consumption side, we talk about cinema, if you want to watch it in the cinema. But nowadays, through OTT, you can watch it at any screens, right? And your cell phone, your IPTV, and so on. And then once this is done, you go to conservation. And then if you want to remake the movie, then you go to innovation, and then go back to your creation, get another newer IP. This is right now the derivation of our law and also government regulation. So the government, the central and the local government are responsible for helping the sectors to do research development, talent development as well, and facilitation for funding and financing, infrastructure provision for them. Also do a marketing system development, and this is actually more to the IP side of marketing. And then we also responsible for providing incentives to drive the subsectors. Because we are based on intellectual property, then we do intellectual property facilitation, for example, like registering, as well as at the end of the day is protecting the creativity. Now this is our task in the government in Indonesia based on the law as well as the government regulation. This is one of the example implementation of the policy. Mind you, we have yet a national design policy, but I think we did some of our implement our mandate from the law. For example, like every year since 72 is probably 6 years ago, the government tasked us, the Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy, before is the Agency for Creative Economy, to design independence logo for celebration, right? We have at least 6 months of celebration. So what happened is we don't do it ourselves, of course. We engage our association of graphic design. Right? We commission them to a close competition of their member. We have 5 chapters right now, and from those chapters, they come up with 5 different design, and then our minister, with the group of our vice minister and a couple of person, they'll pick 3 best design, and then out of that 3 best design, they send it to the president, and the president will pick the best design. And then when it is picked, it becomes the national, it become the IP owned by the government, and we open it for every small and medium enterprise to create merchandise out of it. So backdrops, baliho, T-shirt, and so on. So when you think of it, we don't really we don't spend that much money because we work together with, and they know that we don't have that much money. But because of the design, because of the logo, the national logo, become the national logo, it has a multiplier effect on the economic for example, small, medium enterprise throughout Indonesia. So I think out of, when say probably thousands of dollars we spend for the cooperation, I think it could impact billions, probably in the tens of millions of dollars. Because now everybody can create and then they can get jobs creating this stuff. And the other, too bad I don't have the sample program. We have we call basically this is a redesign. Packaging redesign program for our small and medium enterprise, because we used to teach them how to create their own packaging, right? But that's wrong. I mean, like small and medium enterprise, when they do, for example, they produce snacks, for example, right? We don't teach them to create their design for packaging or for their logo, right? We provide them through our cooperation with the Association of Graphic Designer. So that they can have a brand new or rather a good design of packaging for them, and so that they can have added value out of the design. So that's what we did, and we did a lot in several areas, especially from the tourism destination area. And this is how we approach our work, stakeholder collaboration. This is also one word that we pick up this morning as well. Collaboration is important. So we do it through ABCGM. A is from academia, so we work with the academia, with universities as well as research centers. And B is for the businesses, meaning, of course, like if we are talking about designers, then the design houses. And then C, community. This is important. Community is where the central. It is central in this collaboration, because we have 17 subsectors and we need people. We need strong communities to create a sound ecosystem for them to grow and thrive on their passion, on their field. And G, government. Now, government. If we talk about government. Usually we talk about only one government agency, for example. We would like to disrupt this. When we talk about this, then one sectors can be done by a lot of ministries, a lot of agencies as well, right? Not to mention, because we are a big country, big nation with 280 million people, scattered around 17,000 islands, then local government become important. So we tried to make them as locomotive for this collaboration. And of course, everything we need media. Media, I consider this not just not just online media, but this is also media. The meeting, something like this conference, is also into the media, so that people can not only talk with each other but also network and then create cooperation and that. And this is of course become my biggest questions now. Is design is the mother of solutions. Thank you so much. Very much.
Thank you, El Himam. Okay, all right, next speaker is Mr. Takashi Asanuma. He's the Vice Minister for Digital Transformation and Chief Officer at Digital Agency of Government of Japan.
Thank you. Right. Okay. Good afternoon and welcome Japan. So I'm very excited to the present and show the design the digital agency in Japanese government. So at first, let me self-introduction is okay. So in 2021, the digital agency was established, and I joined as Chief Design Officer. I was then appointed to the Vice Minister for Digital Transformation in April 2022. My current position is more like a COO position, reported to the Minister for the Digital Transformation, and managing the organization. And I think my very important role is bringing a user-centered approach and design mindset. Also, open culture, bringing the Japanese government. Okay, so today, Today, this session, I would like to talk about the current design activities in the Japanese government digital agency, and I also show the challenges, the opportunities in the working on the design in the future. Oh, right. Okay. And at first, I will talk about the evolution of the digital transformation in Japan. Since the 1990s, Japanese digitalization policy has gone through the 4 major policies. There is the development internet infrastructure, its application to e-government, the creation of the new service by using the public sector, private sector data, and realization of Japan as a digital nation. Despite pushing these policies, when the COVID-19 spread in 2020, it became clear that Japanese digitalization was not working well. Government failed to the digital technology to solve them, and this led the announcement of the setup digital agency. Right. So here is a United Nations digital government ranking. Japan is still lagging behind compared to the other countries. So against this background, digital agency was established to promote digitalization across Japan. Our mission is a human-friendly digitalization, no one left behind. And the vision is a government as a service, government as a startup. Then we are working on the government staff and So we are working on the new organization with our government staff and private sector professionals. So we are responsible for the providing citizen public services, promoting the regulatory reform and data strategy for economic growth, and developing resilient digital infrastructure for safety and security. Now, as our public services, over 70% of the population has a national ID card, named My Number card, and more than 64 million people are registered on the citizen portal. In addition, about 10,000 analog regulations are being reviewed to allow new digital technology to be used in government operations. The migration to secure and efficient government cloud, this are expanded to the 130 systems, creating the robust digital infrastructure. Next, I'd like to explain now design and have been involved in activity in digital agency. So this is a design team. Over the past 2 years, passionate and professional and firm member have joined. Digital agency has set up first in-house design team in the government organization. When, currently, we have the various professionals, including product designer, visual designer, and accessibility analyst. And now is 20 members is expanded. So as a government or administrative activities, I think there are 3 phases: making policy, implement it to services, and creating touch points to deliver the public service to citizens. The service design team will be involved in all these phases. Interaction phase, the design team leads the product design and in communication design. Now we are working on the citizen portal, digital agency website, and communication about the government's digital strategies. We have also released the design system and accessibility guidebook. The design system is using for our services and also other public services, including GovTech Tokyo. Moreover, we have released the free illustrations and icons we created. We will continue to make our deliverables as open as possible as a public property. In the service design phase, the design team is involved in several projects, making service design process and supporting service design creation. We are also service design education program for new employees. And last year, the service design lecture was conducted for all ministries. This was most attended training program last year. In the policy phase, we are promoting, in policy phase, designers are involved in creating policy dashboard to support policy making. Now, civil servants, data analysts, and designers working together to experiment with the data-driven policy making. This dashboard has been released to public in September this year. So anyone can access and check the government policy and progress. And we are also promoting the global collaboration with digital department and the design team in global other governments. Currently, we have made M.Sc and collaborating with countries such as Denmark, Estonia, UK, and Singapore. Like that. These 2 years, I feel awareness of design in government has become widely spread in Japan. Last year, we received the Good Design Award for our service design process in the app development. This month, we had the service design meetup, collaborate with the UK design team. We had over 500 viewers. On the other hand, design in the Japanese government is still its early stages. There are many challenges and opportunities for design in the government. About realizing a society where no one is left behind. With the aging of the population worldwide, it is predicted that by 2030, the percentage of the elderly over the age of 65 will reach 30% in Japan. As social structure change and lifestyle and values diversify, it is essential to provide fair and secure public services. Government should have the mid and long-term vision, response quickly to change in citizen needs and behaviors, have a deep understanding of the digital divide, and develop policy and digital services that take into account inclusion and privacy. The social change faced globally and becoming more uncertain and complex. According to this, the latest report from the World Meteorological Organization, there is 66% chance that the climate will exceed 1.5 degrees by 2027. We are required to have the capability, approaches, and mindset to deal with complexity and uncertainty. Experimental approach should be effective to tackling high uncertain problems. Moreover, to address complex challenges, it is essential to accelerate innovation through system design thinking and co-creation. In general, in the government and the administration, there are deeply rooted historical practices, siloed structures, and resistance to change. There are also issues with the declining popularity of the civic servants and the resignation of young government employees. Activities are connected across organization, department, professional, and project, and open organization culture is needed. Design mindset and approaches could be empower and connect people across the boundary. New digital technology is facing us to update our social structure. For example, the fragmentation of society through SNS and digital marketing, the rise of giant tech company and private investor with influence over the nations, and competition among governments over the use of generative AI. There is also indicating declining trust in government agency. While facing new technologies, a human-centered approach based on ethics and philosophy and the co-creation of public sector, private sector, and citizen will become more important. I will show some challenges, but of course, I don't think that designers alone can solve them. However, it is clear to the design mindset, approaches, and capability are needed in the future government. So to face these challenges, we need to take a super long-term perspective, not 10 years, 20 years, but 50 and 100 years. Looking ahead the next 100 years, I believe that many designers will rise up to design a better government and better society. Thank you.
Thank you, Asanuma-san. Okay, the next speaker is going to be Miss Anna Witcher from the UK. Thank you for coming to Tokyo. And then she's a professional in a intersection around policy making and design. And then she's a associate research director of PDR. Okay, please.
Thank you. I'm actually going to stand up so that I can see you. And would it be possible for you to leave the lights on as well for the presentation? Thank you. I am really passionate about what design can bring to government. And I'm passionate about both how we can codify a vision for design in government, so design policy, and I feel privileged to have helped countries around the world to have developed their design policies, including the Philippines, informing Taiwan, but also in Latvia and Ireland and many other places. But today, I'm not here to talk about design policy. I'm here to talk about design for digital public services and for policy making. And specifically, I would like to share some lessons from UK labs and from around the world. So this is a really exciting space, design in government. There are more than 300 of these labs within governments around the world, about 60 in Europe, including at multiple levels of governance. So, for example, the European Commission. Sorry, can we leave the lights on? Is that okay? Do you mind if we leave the lights on? Thank you. Sorry. The European Commission, which is a supranational body, has its EU policy lab. There are multiple national levels which have labs, but also we're seeing labs at regional level and also in city and municipal government as well. So really at multiple levels of governance, which is really exciting. So when I talk about a lab, I'm talking about a multidisciplinary team which uses a range of different innovation methods, including design, to jointly create digital public services and policies with citizens. And in this context, I'm talking about design very broadly, so a user-centered or a human-centered or planet-centered, ideally, approach to problem solving that can be applied to developing, testing, iterating, implementing a range of different outcomes in a public sector scenario, which could be digital products, it could be systems, strategies, processes, public consultations, and of course, policy. So what is the rationale for design for policy? And this is based on work that's been done across a number of labs in the UK. And these are some of the trends and drivers, at least in a UK context. So firstly, we're seeing that there is a changing nature of evidence to inform policy making. Previously, when we talked about evidence-based policy making, we all assumed this was statistical, empirical insight, which, yes, is very important. But actually, now we're seeing design insights informing policy decisions. And this is all about combining big data with the deep, thick data that you get from design. So yes, you still need the economists to generate the numbers, but actually you need designers to humanize those numbers. What does it really mean to be somebody receiving adult social care in the UK? As an example, somebody who might have the early on stage of dementia, who might have multiple different care workers coming to their house in the space of 2 weeks, and it being very confusing for them. So, for example, people in the Department for Health will know exactly how many people in the UK are accessing adult social care services. but do they really know what it means to be somebody in the system? In the UK, we're trying to focus on end-to-end policy making. I don't know if this is the case in your countries, but policy in the UK is still very siloed. You'll have ministerial intent that will be passed to a policy team. Then there'll be a process of developing policy options, generating evidence and insight, consultation, and then that'll be passed to possibly a digital public service delivery team, which ultimately is delivering a service for the public. And until maybe 10 years ago, that was still a very siloed process. So the idea is to bring policy and delivery together as part of a unified process that really puts people at the heart of the process. We're also seeing a really exciting trend to internalize design expertise in the form of labs, but also codifying the skills of designers within government. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later. We've heard empathy mentioned many times already. And I think that previously, empathy was not something we necessarily associated with policy development because we have to be impartial, we have to be evidence-led. But actually, can we be empathetic when we develop policy? I believe so. We've obviously talked a lot about the implications of COVID. COVID was obviously an awful time, but what it did produce was rapid policy prototyping. And of course, design, prototyping is a core part of design. Designers, would never dream about, launching a product or a service onto the market without prototyping. But yet that happens all the time in government with policy. So how can we rapidly prototype policy in an environment and get feedback from citizens? We're also seeing the rise of the gamification of public consultation. So previously, you had to be very well informed to be able to respond to a government public consultation with an online survey. And this is not a trick question, but when was the last time you participated in a public consultation process? Genuinely, I can't remember the last time I did it. So how can we transform public consultation from a tick box exercise to something really meaningful and engaging? And we can do that through design, through gamification, through, dare I say, AI and VR. So how can we rethink public consultation using design? And then lastly, a really exciting space, which I think really speaks to what you were saying about what does government look like in 100 years, is the combination of design and futures. In the UK, we have a very bad habit of developing short-term policies. And it really blows my mind every time I come to Asia, the kind of the outlook you have in terms of the timelines of policy development. You have a vision for 50, 100 years, and we just don't have that mindset, and we need to change that mindset. We've done a lot of work with labs in the UK. We have helped develop the lab in the tax office, and we've done evaluations of labs in Northern Ireland, in Latvia, and in the Foreign Office. So we developed a model for how you can build this in-house design capability within government. In the interest of time, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but fundamentally, you need to think about the proposition, the product, what are you actually offering policymakers, people, what are the methods? Design rarely acts alone. You need to have a suite of innovation methods, and design would be one of those innovation methods. And then process. We need to practice what we preach. What is the user journey that a policymaker goes through with a lab? So I've got a few lessons that I would just like to really quickly run through with you in a little bit more detail. So the key thing to say is that the UK government is the biggest employer of designers in the UK. There are more than 3,000 designers who work in UK government in various departments. So, it very much started in the government digital service, but now every single central government department has a design team, mostly in the digital department, but increasingly we're seeing a number of these labs within policy teams. As I said, more than 3,000 designers actually employed by UK government, mostly interaction designers, content designers, design researchers, service designers, and at the last count, about 40 policy designers. So people who actually have the job title of policy design. So just to say, these labs, there's, as I said, about 10 in the UK. They exist at multiple levels of governance. The very first one was established in the Cabinet Office with Policy Lab, and you obviously have a good relationship with them. And what's really exciting is the journey that they've been on. The same way that design evolves, these labs absolutely have to evolve and have to respond to innovation trends. And there are labs on this list that have closed their doors because they have not responded to those trends. A quick example of the Foreign Office. This is a small team. As I said, we helped to set up the lab in the tax office. There are now 40 people in that team. The Foreign Office started its journey in 2017 and is still a small team. But actually now they have a mission to mature design as a profession in government, to build capacity beyond the lab for a more user-centered mindset, and support UK ambitions to be a data and digital powerhouse in the world. And they're also, intriguingly, seeking to position design as a tool for UK diplomacy. And I think what's really struck me is we're all doing that. We're all positioning design as diplomacy for our own countries. So we talk a lot about design for policy, but maybe design for diplomacy is next. It's really important for labs to have a clear offer. You know, design is still complicated for civil servants to understand. So you have to be really clear about what you're offering. The design process is quite opaque to civil servants because, generally when you start any process, you want to know what's going to come out at the end of it. And that's the challenge with always with the design process, is you don't know what's going to come out at the end. And government doesn't usually like that. They like to know what's going to come out at the end of the process, which is why design is such an experiential process. It's one of those experiences, when you put a civil servant through a design policy or digital service project, they get it. But very often when you try to communicate it, it's still a challenge for them to get their heads around. And this is why you have to develop a really clear offer. And what we're often finding is that these labs tend to offer services at the very front end of the policy process. So using design research to inform that problem space, define the challenge, from the citizen perspective, co-design potential options with various user groups, and of course, prototype, iterate, test those potential solutions before maybe engaging in a much more creative approach to public consultation. So it's really important to understand where a lab adds value. And it's really exciting to see, what's happening here in Japan, and the big role that design is playing in that digital public services and policy space. But I think what none of us have yet cracked is how do we use design to inform politics? And I think that is a big challenge that we should collectively explore. Like anything, there's a whole load of principles that go with a design approach to policy making, like any good design process, starting with user needs. But putting aside your entrenched assumptions, combining, as I said, the big data with the deep data, bringing that policy and delivery space together and iterating, testing, and improving. Somebody asked me what is the key to success in the use of design in UK government. And I actually think that it's this framework. This is called the Digital Data and Technology Framework. 15 years ago, the UK government recognised it needed to build a digital capability. And it scoped out what the key skills were. And this is that skills framework. So they articulated These are the digital skills of UK government. And if you are a civil servant in UK government with these skills, you get an extra allowance. You effectively earn more than a civil servant on the same grade as you. So that is how they are professionalising digital roles in government. And of course, I'm absolutely delighted that user-centred design has been specifically codified as a capability within this framework, which is why, as I said, there are so many different kinds of designer who work in UK government. And it's this codification of the skills that actually has resulted in design moving upstream in the policy process. So people who work at service design, for example, is a very well-known concept by civil servants as a result of interactions over the last 15 years with the digital departments. And slowly they're recognising that the principles of digital public service development actually could be applied further upstream in policy. So this has been a much slower initiative. And that's where policy labs have come in, because the policy lab is a safe space for policymakers to experiment with these new methods like design. And the safe space is a really important thing to emphasize, because although, everyone says, oh yes, we need to fail to learn, the reality is nobody wants to fail. So you have to be able to create a safe space to experiment with these approaches, which are behind closed doors, and enable you to interact with members of the public in a curated and design-led way. As I said, design does not act alone. It's really important that design is part of a multidisciplinary team. So as I said, the kind of dominant methodologies for UK labs are design, behavioural insight, and futures foresight. And the interaction between those three methods, I think, is a really exciting space. But there's also a lot of other innovation methods which are used by these labs, but those are the three dominant ones. And so every time a policy lab is given a new brief, a new design brief, they set up these little mini multidisciplinary teams. And generally, these are the capabilities that that team would have. So user research, service or policy design, data analyst, and then ultimately a product owner who will take that outcome forward. So more lessons for labs. It's really important to have selection criteria for labs, because there's a lot of pressure on government. So sometimes because labs can be a free resource, and this is a good discussion about whether the services of a lab should be free or it should be like an internal consultancy, it's important to have selection criteria so that you are picking those high priority, high impact policy areas which are really going to demonstrate what the added value of a design approach is. And crucially, you need to embed design beyond the lab. So as an example, we did a Train the Trainer program in Latvia, where PDR went to Latvia. We trained 30 civil servants who are innovation leaders across multiple central government departments, and they became the champions for design approaches in their own department, and they then trained more civil servants. And as a result of this, the Latvian government have trained more than 1,000 civil servants in design approaches. It's also important to create a community of practice of these people so they can support each other and go on their journey together. And that also involves case studies. So how can you build a bank of case studies and evidence which shows what design can deliver in a policy and public service context? So I'd encourage you to look at the Public Policy Design blog in the UK, which collates case studies from all UK central government departments. And more recently, they've got examples from regional and local government as well. So those are some of the key lessons from a UK context in terms of applying design to policy. So thank you.
Thank you, Anna. lastly, we have Chi Yi Chen from Taiwan. He's the president of Taiwan Design Research Institute. Please.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Chi from Taiwan. I'm so great to be here and to share with you Taiwan design in Taiwan. Also like to learn from Indonesia, Japan, and UK. Yes. And it's come a long history. TDC was founded in 2003. So we promoting design and a lot of exhibition. And also in Taipei, there's opportunity to hold GA for graphic design, industrial design, and interior design, a big event altogether in 2011. And the next important moment is 2020. The president supported design. So TDC upgraded, became TDRI. So in the same year, we are really happy to receive the highest Glory Presidential Innovation Award. We are the first winner. The first two winners are E-Treat. Second winner, TSMC. So those are technology-driven and from Taiwan the resource. And we are the first winner. So we believe Taiwan used to be using technology power, but now we found design power, soft power is so important. And so that's our mission. We dream to be Design Change Taiwan, and also using Design Change Taiwan to connect it to the world. And under TDC, in that period, we believe professional design talent. But upgrade became TDRI. We focus on interdisciplinary design talent. So we aiming for public service, enterprise innovation, and public policy, and social innovation, and design diplomacy. So that's we will use design to create value, not only realize value. And thank Anne and a lot of expertise. Yeah, in year 2019, before TDC became TDRI, we had do a Taiwan design blueprint. So we set out a very clear goal for the next 10 years, what Taiwan design should do. Yeah, on policy, design funding, design research, design program, design support, designer, design user, and design education. And this World Design Capital in Taipei, that's a very important moment. In that year, every city was looking to Taipei, what Taipei city was transforming after World Design Capital. So I would say after World Design Capital, every mayor in Taiwan are looking for design change. So after that, we have a Taiwan Design Expo every year, cooperate with one local government. And also, we had the opportunity to hold the world's largest showcase of youth designer every year. There are around 17,000 design graduate students. Student graduate exhibit their project in our UTEX design. So that's the very important to promoting design for young generation. Also, we had a Golden Pin Design Award established in 1981, but for the past few years, we expanded, became an international design award, and we learned a lot from GMARC. Yeah, Good Design Award, yeah. And I think this is a good platform to promote design as well. As I mentioned before, for the last few years, one event changed Taiwan City a lot, which is a Taiwan Design Sport. Every year, we cooperate with one city government. So we moved 5 years ago from Pingtung to Hsinchu, to Jiayi, to Kaohsiung, this year in New Taipei City. And every year, city government using design, they were prepared for 2 years, not only for design export, they using design change their policy or design thinking in their a lot of projects. So, for example, in Kaohsiung, within 16 days, over 6 million visitors to Kaohsiung just to see the expo and how city using design changed the city. And this year in New Taipei City, 6.58 million people visit New Taipei City. So that became a big event and also the showcase how city using design to change the city. And also we cooperate with Ministry of Transportation and Communication, and using design do public transportation aesthetic redesign. We do branding, also bus redesign. Yeah, because transportation, they have a lot of infrastructure. We think government doing branding and good service is more important than infrastructure. So provide better service for every passenger to experience. So it's not only bus redesign. We have opportunity to cooperate with Harbor Bureau to create a new brand for marine transportation and marine tourists for branding and the ferry outlook redesign interior. Also, we provide a guideline for every different ferry for next 10 years. So that's not only a single case. We provide the guideline. That's very important. Also, we have opportunity to cooperate with Ministry of Education. We have a project called Design Movement on Campus. So this is the 5th year. So we already redesigned 75 private school, elementary school, high school, all around the country. So not only classroom, also teachers' space, and also signage, because we have a new curriculum. So after redesign the new classroom, and teacher found their new courses. So it's hardware and software come together. So that's really education reform by design. And this case also win GMARC prize. And also we think public health clinic system is very important. So we have opportunity 4 years ago, cooperate with the New Taipei City, redesign every public clinic. So from Yingge, Xizhi, Banqiao, Jingshan, right now there's the biggest district in Banqiao will be renovated. So provided a better service for every citizen. So we using this guideline, providing this guideline to all the country, different city government. So all in Taiwan, there are around 300 public clinic. So they will use our guideline to redesign their public service. Also, Taiwan, we have a new so-called citizen judge. Yeah. So it started from last year. It's a national new policy. So I think that's quite important because we are a democracy country. So every citizen will be participate in jury. But normal citizens are very afraid of go to the court. So we using design thinking and do a research with many lawyers and a jury to redesign the process, also the space, and also interface. Yeah, make a citizen be very comfortable to participate in a citizen judge court. So those we change 4 courts, but in Taiwan there are 22 courts. So in the next 5 years, 20 courts will be all changed through our system. And also election is very important. Yeah, because every citizen act on election. So 3 years ago, we cooperated with Central Electoral Bureau for electoral aesthetic. So for election, it's been in Taiwan for 30 years. But we think how to encourage normal citizens to go out and vote, especially for young generation. So we redesign information being easier to read. So you will see three-dimensional graphic. That will be very easy to understand the process. Also, last year, we redesigned for local government election poll and signage. And next year, for presidential election, we redesign a broadcasting background and all the information. I think those are very important for general public and citizen. Also, we think safe fire extinguisher is very important. So we cooperate with the Ministry of Interior, redesign, adaptive design of fire hydrant, and it became open source for all the country and industry to use. So it's not only safer, it's more beautiful because we redesign how to use fire extinguisher by graphic design, 3-step, very easy to read, not a very complicated text. So it's easier, safer, and more beautiful. And also there's a project called T22, dividing transformation of industrial cluster. In Taiwan, we think every city, there's a special industry need to be redesigned. So we start from Inca. Inca is very famous for ceramic. So we get together for the second generation. We have a second generation CEO, teach them how to use in design, transforming their product. And also we matching Michelin chef. Yeah, cooperate with designer and Inca ceramic factory. So they can produce a very high value plate. Yeah, also is a new branding, good branding for Inca local industry. And also we go to Hualien stone industry using design, transforming stone industry through design. And also we cooperate with a couple impact price store, promoting sustainable value. And we think sustainable is quite important. So we established a resilient model in Taiwan, is called Hu-Wei. So it's not only for the water, for the history, for the townscape redesign. And then I show you a short video. It's 100 days of design. Yeah, because 1,000 days of design, yeah. The city is very important, how to embed it, design the city. So every year, Taiwan Design Expo, Creative Culture Expo, all kinds of events we can promote design in the city. Public is very important, yeah. Using design as a driving force for different ministry and different city government in transportation, health service, industrial, yeah. Campus education. Election. Redesign. Port. Redesign station, MRT. Ministry of Interior. Industrial. Very up, yeah, all the industrial value. Talent also very important, yeah. For UTEX design, we promoting young designer, also Golden Pin Design Award. Value, yeah. A lot of workshop for design thinking and design blueprint, yeah, for Taiwan. We invite a different ministry, decision maker. Also using design cognitive to the work. So, 1,000 days of design. Okay. We believe design can change. And lastly, I like to spend 1 or 2 minutes to show our design index. So we are really happy to cooperate with WDO. We think design can be measured. Yeah. So we, our research team put a lot of effort, make up design index research. And I think for yesterday's academic section, Dr. Liu has shown many of these. So I will just go through very quickly. We have done a series of study. We think there are so many indicators. So how to using a very powerful indicator to locate ABC, yeah. Developing strategy, design activity, design effect, and design impact. So we try to testing in Taiwan, this design index in 22 cities, and we collect over 10 years data. Yeah, and every city is good in different aspect of design. Yeah, Taipei City, Hsinchu City, Taitung County, they are all different. So we focus on how to use design index to specify city design power. And also we provide data visualization for decision maker. I think the application very important for decision maker. They can clearly see how design make the difference. Okay, so I show you a last quick video. Oh, no. Okay. There's a video? No. How to play the video? Oh, yeah, click. Oh, yeah, okay. So this is a dashboard. So it's showing pick up the city, and because this dashboard we already input 22 cities in Taiwan, also for 10 years data. So if, for example, Taoyuan City, and you will show up Taoyuan City 2022 data, and you can compare different year. It's showing the different growth of different indicator. Yeah, and also we can go to the map. This is a Taipei City map, and it's showing interior designer, industrial design, and commercial design, where they located. So you show the hotspot, and you can zoom in, also change the zone, become the dots. When you click the dots, it's showing the address, how many employees, and the number, income for that year. So for decision maker, they can clearly compare if they grow every year, or if they compare to other cities, they want to compete. And the good news is, in Taiwan every year, we have a report, ranking of the mayor. Yeah, who is the most popular mayor? Because all the mayors want to be continue, want to be success. And the good news is, every city who execute Taiwan Design Expo, utilize design power, they are all ranking on the top. So that's why now Taiwan city mayor, every city mayor are so curious. design can change the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Chi-san. Wow, it's a great presentations, and we have so many learnings from for speakers' presentation. So before we having 30 minutes break, I've got a proposal. We may have a short conversation around your neighbors. Probably you have thoughts or comments or insight within for presentation. So would you have an eye contact with your neighbors and then have a free conversation for 5 minutes, and after that we are go for 20 minutes probably break. Please start. Okay, thank you for coming back to the session. We are going to have a 40 minutes panel talk with wonderful 4 speakers. And then we've got 4 presentations by 4 nations, and we see the different types of activities and approaches from these speakers. And I'm going to post 4 questions to this panel session to clarify how design can contribute to the government or civil servants' activities. And my first question, I've got 4 questions. The first one is application to policy making, how design can contribute to policy or democracy. And the second one is the humanization of administrative services. The third one is civic tech and citizen participation to create policy. And lastly, design education and human resource development in the government. Okay, so let us start about application to policy making. And Anna, you introduced a wonderful example in the UK, how you guys to develop the culture or processes in the government. It's really tangible, evident processes and activities. And then could you clarify that how the UK nurtured that kind of activities? You said you spent 10 to 20 years to introduce that kind of activity in the UK, right? And probably other nations, because the UK is a leading nation, as a pro-design government nation, right? And for policy makers or for civil servants, how they can define the benefit of design or induction of design in the government?
Absolutely. So I think it's about giving people really great case studies and examples where we've measured what the difference was by design as a result of the design intervention. But I think it's important to start with digital public services. Service design is a relatively easy concept for public officials to grasp. And when they see the way that design can transform digital public services, it becomes very tangible. But policy is not something that's very tangible, neither to policymakers nor to citizens. So actually, how can you make policy tangible? How can you encourage policymakers to go out into the field to engage with citizens, to co-design policy with citizens? And as I said before, you need to create a safe space to do that, which is the Policy Lab. And that started, about 10 years ago now. And slowly, design is coming out of the lab and into policy practices. But it's not mainstream by any stretch. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that the UK government systematically uses design for policy. They absolutely don't. But it's a journey, and it's about building that bank of evidence of what the impact of design is in a policy context. But you have to start somewhere. So I would say just, as I said, find a safe space and experiment with these design for policy methods.
Yeah, in a chat with you introduced a very interesting story, how you guys introduced design and the benefit of design to policymakers. And then that is not sophisticated way. It is more like human-to-human communication. Could you tell me the story and episode to the audience?
Oh, I've forgotten which story I told you. Which story was it? Which story was I tell you? We spoke a few weeks ago, but I've forgotten what I said.
Yeah, because probably, for example, in Japan or Taiwan is a bit different, but Indonesia may be the same. But the policymakers are not interested in the design itself, right?
Yeah.
And probably, El Himam, you would have a very, very big difficulty to, convince them to believe in the design activities, right?
I don't know if I gave this example, but I've got an example to give you. PDR has worked with the European Central Bank for 4 years. And in that time, we've done 9 projects with them. So some were service design, some were policy design, some were capacity building, and some were sort of transformation. So I'll give an example of regulatory policy. Usually regulatory policy is not a sexy topic. This was all about the European Central Bank wanting to co-create regulatory policy with national banks and the regulator, which is called a national competent authority. Previously, the European Central Bank had engaged with these stakeholders very separately because there can be a lot of tension. You've got 19 Eurozone countries, which all have different policies, legislation, regulation, languages, culture. To try to co-design one regulatory policy for Europe is quite a challenge. So previously, the European Central Bank had engaged separately with all of these different stakeholders. But we encouraged them to take a more collaborative approach. And genuinely, they were terrified. They were terrified of getting all these people in a room together. But we took a design approach, and we used some very simple design tools, such as user journey mapping. So literally, before the workshop, we asked the European Central Bank, can you map out the regulatory journey, please? And they were like, oh, yeah. There's only 5 stages. We don't understand why the banks don't comply. It's so easy. So I was like, okay, right, 5 stages. All right, that does seem easy. Fine. Okay, why don't they comply? And then we did exactly the same exercise with the banks and the national competency authorities. And as you can imagine, there were not 5 stages. There was more like 20 stages. And the paperwork and the bureaucracy and the legislation was so complicated. And during the course of the session, you could see the European Central Bank people realised just how complicated this policy was for people. But what was really great about the session, it wasn't just about mapping out a new regulatory policy. It was about an opportunity for the national banks to communicate their experience to the European Central Bank and be heard, and actually to work out, what are the stages of this regulatory process that we can get rid of? And we never got down to 5 stages. It was still like 8 stages or something. But the point is that there was, through design, they generated a shared understanding of each other's positions and the constraints in which they operate. And they were able to navigate a path to reaching a consensus on how to move forward on a very technical policy area. And so not only did they manage to create a new policy flow, they also generated these champions for implementing this approach beyond the session. So design, I think, is a really great tool for building consensus and sharing diverse positions.
So the bureau staffs and the civil servants in the UK government gradually getting to understand the design as a tool
Yes.
to create that kind of consensus or new vision. Thank you. Chi-san, do you have any comment? Or in Taiwan, you said even the president is capable and understand about the value or benefit of design in the government, right?
I would say so, yeah, because 2019, Taiwan promoting soft power. So under Ministry of Culture, there was a new division promoting movie, music, gaming, content industry. And also in Ministry of Economy, TDC upgrade became TDRI. And that's President say, soft power, double engine. So because before, Taiwan are really good in manufacturing, also good in semiconductor technology. But we believe there's other than manufacturing and high tech. Yeah, so we should looking for the other to transform the country. Yeah, so that's what she said. Yeah, design power is a national power. I think that's the key point. Yeah, encourage government using design also because we have a platform. TDI, we are the platform between government, private sector, and professional. Yeah, we play a platform. Yeah, to encourage all the central government, local government, how to use design as a innovation power. Yeah.
El Himam, do you have any question to them or?
Well, actually, I don't have questions, but I get thank you for both Anna and Chi. I think now I got inspiration from you, both of you, and since like you said, like you probably seen before, we only have 3 right now: design, graphic design, interior design, and product design. Now I believe I need to expand it into policy design as one of our subsectors, so that we can influence the other government agency or ministry to to have when making the policy, then you really need to have a good, really good design process in making that policies. I think thank you so much, and I believe this is important for us.
Thank you. And I think when we look at the history of introduction of design into the government structure, maybe one of the key thing is digital, I guess. And especially in the UK, I think that the timing of the introduction of design methods into the government is coordinated with the timing of introduction of digital services, right? And especially in Japan, our digital agency is probably a kickstarter for our government to introduce design capabilities directly inside the government. And Asanuma-san, could you do you have any kind of explanation about why digital and design is always tightened up in one thing?
Right. Yeah. As you know, the digital is different as a physical world. The speed is so high, and it is easy to connect it. The design thing and the developing thing is a kind of different area and I think it's easy to implement to the design approach, kind of agile and lean and kind of this type of approaches. So fortunately, so it's a digital agencies covers all agencies and for the developing the digital products. So we can and could show the design power, also engineering power. So, and only 2 years, I feel many agencies changed to and explain understanding the design power in the digital world. So, kind of easy to implement the design approach, I think. Yeah.
Thank you. In the UK, you've got 3,000 designers in the government. That's surprising number actually, and if we look into the ratio of the design professionals, you mentioned about UX designers, or service designers, and communication designers, and policy designers. Yeah, and I'm wondered about are they looking into digital services or non-digital services? And could you tell me about what is the major project are they working?
No, they are all working on digital services.
Okay.
Because, as I said, 15 years ago, the UK government set up the Government Digital Service in order to transform, and become, to climb the ranks of the table that you showed about e-government. So that was all about, how do we get to the top, near the top of the table? And, as I said, it's not just about design, it was all the other professions that I showed in terms of that skills capability wheel. But thank goodness they had the foresight to see that design is a core part of that. And it's been a long journey, but I've got another really interesting stat for you. So generally in UK government, it's very difficult to hire somebody because we've got a cap on the number of people you can have in government. So it's very common to have a government freeze on recruitment. With the professionals that are highlighted in that digital capability framework, that is those job roles are fundamentally the only ones where you don't have to write a very, very detailed business case in order to get a new person to the job. That's how much it's recognised. These people are critical. And as I said, those individuals actually get paid, even though they might be on the same grade as another civil servant, they get a specialist allowance because it's recognised of what their specialist design skill is. So it's about, somebody used the word talent. It's about recognising and nurturing talent and recognising that this is a profession within government.
Yeah, and I found a very interesting blog post from Policy Lab from the UK government, and then that told about the episode about a project where the Policy Lab is collaborating with citizens to create the fishermen's new regulation. That was so interesting story, and then that is new regulation for fishermen's community, and that is non-digital, product and services, right?
Yeah.
And then, so right now, the UK government now starting to use design capabilities outside the digital spaces to tackle with the kind of wicked and a very difficult program.
So, as I said, in the example I gave of the 3,000 designers, the majority, they're all fundamentally in digital services, except for the policy labs, which I mentioned. And as I said, there's a very small emerging community of policy designers. Actually, that is the job title they advertise for. So those people are developing policies which might not necessarily end up as a digital public service. But the reality is that a lot of them still do. And certainly, even with the example of the fisherman's policy, I wouldn't be surprised if an element of that is digital anyway. So fundamentally, there's a big drive to digital by default. And what I'd love it to be is design by default. That's the mission.
Wow. And then could you tell me a little bit about policy designer? Because for the audience, that term is quite new, upcoming word.
Yeah. So what we're trying to do is to codify the skills of a policy designer the same way that they've been codified for service design. This is an emerging thing because whereas a service designer in the context of the current setup in the government very clearly sits in a digital department, a policy designer would sit in the policy profession. And so that we have this debate, is it better to be a policy professional who learns about design, or is it best to be a designer who learns about policy? We have this debate all the time. And nobody, and maybe it's a mix. But fundamentally, if you want to define the skills of a policymaker, of a policy designer, you have to really understand the design profession, and you have to really understand the policy profession. And, we talk about unicorns in the tech industry. There's only a few unicorns who really, really understand design and policy. So, it's a really exciting but emerging space. So we're working to define the skills of a policy designer. But one thing I would say is that the UK government is obsessed with agile. Agile. Everyone uses agile, but they don't. But they do.
Wow.
Yeah. So agile is something that's very well understood in digital departments, and now those approaches are slowly being explored by policy teams. So yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. I think that I think naturally government activities and civil servant activities is so mechanism. It's mechanics, right? And so design can probably introduce more kind of humanized functions or services into the government services. But so policy design would be the key core differentiator to make it kind of radical shift from the conventional style. Wow. So Chi-san, would you tell us a little bit about the TDRI activities, how you engage with people, and how you co-create the new things with stakeholders to something new?
Of course, TDI is a platform between government, private sector, and professional. So every year we have to propose like a 4 years project, and then we got a project called interdisciplinary, how to use a design transforming industry, society, and public service. And then we will go to different ministry or local government, try to find a project to be applied to utilize. A small project, begin with small project. But we do research for the whole system, for the whole nation. So if the small project be successful, or if it's not very good, we can adjust for the next year, and then we can apply to the system. And the project we pick up, we will be focused on is if it's public impact, or is for every citizen. We'll always focus on that for social impact and public impact. So we research and find out the topic, and then direct it to propose to different ministry. And if they say, okay, we will start from the small project. And also, if it is also success, and continue to apply to the whole system.
Yeah, probably one of the benefits of design when we think about the introduction to the government by design, I think the co-creation is one of the keywords. And then could you tell me why design can be the differentiator? We have so many critical thinking or big data, visualization, so many things, other tools, but why design can work for that? Do you have any words?
I think we've already heard this word today. I think we'd all say the same word, empathy, because that's, as I said, humanizing the numbers. And this, I'm going to make a bit of a generalization, but policymakers tend to be economists. They make broad generalizations from large data sets, which they have to do. And, like you see with the bell curve, a policymaker has to design for a neoclassical policymaker would design for, the most number of citizens. And that's not what a designer does. A designer designs for all, in theory. So how can we bring empathy into a process which traditionally has had to be impartial, had to be apolitical, and so how do you infuse design? Like behavioural change is a big thing. How do you instigate behavioural change at a massive level in government? And it takes years. It'll take absolutely years. But we've all got to start somewhere, and we're already starting, and we've got to just prove the case and continue going forward.
Okay, that's great. Do you have any words, El Himam-san, on co-creation? Or participants of
Yes, yes. We are in the government itself now. We have this approach, the pentahelix approach, where we need to work together, collaborate with all the stakeholders, academician, business, government itself, and then community. This is important, and as well as the media. And the other thing that we need to do is also, as well is in terms of that is. I guess the first step, like probably Anna told you this, the first step is about, for example, implementing design thinking in the government itself, right? In terms of making policies, empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and then also implement and evaluate, of course. So this is, I think, the beginning, and we can do all those steps probably with a lot of different approaches. For example, gamification. I like that gamification. When you do evaluate or trying to prototyping, you need to get the feedback from the people that will be affected by the policy. For example, through gamification, right? For taking into account their feedbacks through those methods, probably is easier, as well as probably more impartial to whatever we have. So I think co-creation in this case is really important, and we are trying to go to that directions, and I think we will do completely into that direction.
Okay, thank you. Maybe co-creation is going to be a keyword, definitely. But do you have any idea when we define design for the government? Do you have any kind of keywords to clarify the value or benefit of design? Probably first one is co-creation. Second, third, fourth.
Okay, so I think the challenging mindset, and this is a kind of the curiosity also. Designer is I'm background design is so kind of the the outside people see the crazy people. Yeah, so Taka-san says there is a weak problem is happened existed, but designer is it's my job. Yeah, it is kind of crazy. We don't have any solution currently, but this is my task and my job, and that. So, well, we want to solve these problems. This mindset in the challenging attitude is kind of in current government is needed, I think. Yeah.
Thank you. Asanuma-san's comment reminds me Anna's presentation. You said politicians and civil servants are always willing to have prefixed ending, but the design is always a kind of exploration, right? Probably that is one of the kind of unique characteristics of design.
Mm. Yeah, it's definitely a problem that I've experienced as part of policy processes, because a policy team will fundamentally be given the answer, by a minister or a senior civil servant, or it's come from, something in the press or a lobbying group. They've been given the answer, and their job, and this is again a little bit of a generalization, is to retrofit the data to meet that existing policy direction. And again, that is absolutely just not what design is about, because design is about understanding the user and really developing a solution that is, desirable, feasible, viable, etc. And so what happens is the designers will come and work with the policy teams, and they will conduct design and user research, and they will come back with insights which directly contradict the policy direction. And it's such a difficult position to be in. It's a very uncomfortable position. Nobody wants to be in that position. And so, therefore, you need to get really creative in communicating the insights of users back to senior leadership. And that's why we're seeing, people, as opposed to writing 50-page policy reports, are creating, animations, and they're creating storyboards, and they're creating, simulations, they're creating future scenarios. They're being more creative in the way they feed the insights back to senior leadership. And this is a discussion we had over dinner last night, or at the party as well. We were talking about how we as human beings are natural storytelling creatures. Like from our ancestors, we've always told stories, and that's what resonates with us. Like you can give somebody a report with all the stats and evidence, and that justifies to a civil servant to take a direction. But it's actually the stories and the power that you have in storytelling and communicating those first-hand lived experiences of people, which can be really powerful for changing the policy direction. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend that's easy. Like it's a very difficult job for a designer to come in and say, look, the policy direction that you've set out is just not right. Like that is a very difficult position to be in. And that's why, the policy designers have got to be, quite courageous in the way they communicate to senior leadership.
Okay, so we have now co-creation, and probably the second one is a mindset for change, or college for change, and the capability of exploration or prototyping things, and humanization by using stories, etc. Chi-san, do you have any additional value?
I think we like to create city pride, because every 4 years there will be election. Yeah. So if the general citizen, they're proud of their city, if the city become more beautiful, if the city provide better public service, if the city provide more efficient in every detail, so that will be the key to driving citizen to push government, how to use the design as a driving force to change the city. So city pride will be the good driving force, to let the city government to focus on design and locate more resource on design. Because especially for young generation, they will compare to other city, also foreign country. So if they proud of their city, so they will vote for that. So that will be change government's policy, I think. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, city, the quality of city and quality of probably life and a lifestyle. Yeah, thank you. All right.
This is coming back to my last slides at that time. So I guess it is important for after hearing from listening from Anna and as well Chi. I think this is important right now is for the government to recognize as a design as actually the root or the beginning of finding solutions for whatever it is, services, anything, right? So the question is like how should we, for the government to recognize the importance of design, especially in the early stage of, in the early process of developing a policy, right? Not just co-creation, but I think this is important. So this is, again, coming back to my question, is design, like they said that, necessity is the mother of inventions, right? So is design the mother of solutions or alternative solutions? So that's the big question.
Thank you. All right. We have 4 or 5 keywords for design for the government. All right. Do you have any other words?
So actually the important things are creativity, kind of the building something, shows something is it's important to the in the government policies are difficult to the it's intangible, and also digital is intangible, but we can build and make other tangible product and services and show the story and presentation also. It's a design and is a lead is so this type of role in the government actually, yeah.
Thank you. Through the conversation, I'm getting very convinced about the new type of the government equipped with design, probably that is more excellent government, compared with government without design. Yeah, all right. So we are running up our this time in this session. We have 4 minutes left. So can we have a, yeah, it's short conversation, sorry about that. All right, so can we have a kind of a final remark from each speaker? So Chi-san.
Yeah, just a few minutes before, we believe design can change government.
Design can change government. Wow.
Design can help.
Design can help. Wow. Thank you, Ansan.
I would say you need to start small, as you said. So, this is about introducing new ways of working to the government. So you need to create this safe space in order to test these approaches and for it to build organically and systematically, over time. It's a journey. Design in government is a journey.
Design government, it's a journey. Thank you.
Yeah, so today's I attended today's session. So very impressed with the presentation, and I thinking about that in government is we should connect it. We should cooperate in the approach solution. Also it's important. So government is government. So the group is one group. So we should cooperate and connect it. Is a very, very important.
All right.
Yeah.
Multinational corporation. Thank you.
Shifting paradigm from anything by accident to everything by design.
Wow, thank you for the big words. All right. Okay, we are running up our time completely. So please give your big hands to them, and thank you for coming to the session.